Hello and welcome back to another Microsoft Flight Simulator video. In this video, I'm going to give you a couple tips and tricks to get started with Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. The first thing to keep in mind is if you go into the settings under Flight Interface, I recommend turning off all these markers here. Now, if you like to know where you're going and see where you are, that's great to have, but it also clutters the screen with all kinds of things. The other thing is tooltips. These are great for new people into the simulator themselves, but if you are, been around the block a couple times in 2020, you probably don't need those two tips anymore. Next, under controls. Now, here's a little secret. Most people I don't think realize right away, is under the keyboard preset config and general controls, you can actually turn your controls back in clock to 2020 controls, which is super helpful if you're just not getting the hang or just don't like the controls set, the keybind set up for Flight Sim 2020. Super easy thing to do by default. It will be probably 2024 here, or it will say something custom. Just go ahead and turn it to 2020. Now you can also duplicate it and make a custom keybind like I did here. Now, one thing to keep in mind if you do mess with the keybinds is to scroll on down here to player character. And under player character, interactions, you need to make sure you set a keybind to take control of your character. So I have mine set for Control Shift C. When I click those buttons together, I'll go ahead and take control of my character outside of the sim. Well, now you're outside, how do you move the character? Same thing. Set up a couple keybinds. So I have the standard WSAD, and then I have Shift for my running. So keep in mind, those are super important things to do as you get started with Flight Sim. Now, another thing is that when you choose 2020 or a custom setup, make sure your inputs aren't interfering with one another. To do something really simply, click on Select Input and select a key. And it'll bring up all the listings for that profile currently set up. Super handy if you are, for example, using the Honeycomb Alpha like I am. I can click a button and it will tell me what that button does. Now, if you have multiple things connected to that one button, make sure you look at it and you get rid of things you don't need. So hopefully those tips helped you get started with Microsoft Flight Sim 2024.